Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are opening up Lesson 11 of Coach Timothy's Programming Guide, your first step into Python functions. Welcome in, study buddy. So I know that whenever we start a brand new topic in programming, it can honestly feel like a whole lot to take in at once. But functions, they represent this massive, incredibly exciting leap in your coding journey, and we're going to build a rock-solid foundation today. Listen, you are not expected to understand absolutely everything about functions in one sitting. It's a huge topic. So take a deep breath, grab your notebook, and let's just take this step by step. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for this explainer. We'll start by tackling the copy and paste problem, then we'll explore functions as small machines, check out where functions come from, break down defining versus calling, and finally, talk about thinking like a programmer. All right, Section 1, the copy and paste problem. Or basically, why messy code happens. Let's dive into this by imagining a super common scenario. Suppose you write some code to do a really specific everyday task. Maybe it cleans up some messy data, maybe it calculates a customer's total at checkout, or maybe it just prints out a nice little welcome message. You spend the time, you write the logic, and boom, it works perfectly that first time. But then, later on in your program, you suddenly realize you need that exact same welcome message, or data cleaner again. So what do you do? Well, if you're just starting out, your natural instinct is probably to just highlight, copy, and paste that exact same chunk of logic. You hit copy, paste it further down, and you move on, right? And hey, maybe you need it a third time, so you just paste it again.
Now, at first, copying doesn't seem like a big deal, but imagine, just for a second, discovering a tiny error in that original logic. Because you pasted it everywhere, step 3 suddenly becomes your absolute worst nightmare. You literally have to hunt down every single copy throughout your entire program and fix it manually. A single, simple little typo turns into this massive headache to track down. This is exactly where code turns from a neat set of instructions into an absolute chaotic mess.
Section 2, functions as small machines, your organizational savior. There is a way better way to organize our programs so we never, ever have to hunt down pasted errors again. And that magic solution is the function. A function is simply a reusable block of code that has a name. So instead of writing the same logic over and over, we pack that logic into this one block. I want you to think of it kind of like creating a custom button on a control panel. Instead of completely rebuilding a complex process from scratch every single time, you build the process once, you put it inside the button, and then you just press the button whenever you want it to happen. Coach Timothy uses this brilliant mental model for this, and I really want to anchor it in your mind visually before we even worry about the code. Imagine a function as a small machine. Step 1, you give it an input. Step 2, the machine performs its specific job. And step 3, it spits out an output. Now, some functions might take in information, some produce information, and some just perform an action. But the beautiful part, the machine handles all the messy work hidden away inside. Let's keep this super practical. Just think about your morning routine for making coffee. You have to start the machine, make the coffee, and then finally enjoy the coffee. If you repeat this process 3 or 4 times a day, would you want to physically rewrite every single step of those instructions from scratch every time? No way. A function lets you just use the command, make coffee, to trigger all that reusable logic instantly. You defined process once, and you reuse it effortlessly. Section 3, where functions come from. And spoiler alert, you actually already know way more than you think. Honestly, if you've written any Python at all, you've been using functions without even realizing it. Think about familiar commands like print, len, and type. These are classic examples that totally prove my point. You didn't have to build the complex logic required to actually print text to a screen yourself, did you? Nope. Python provided that small machine for you. You just learned how to call it. Or, going back to our earlier analogy, you just learned how to press the button. So functions generally come from 3 main sources. First, you've got built-in functions that just come directly with Python, like print. Second, you have functions from libraries, like the math module, which give you all these extra capabilities. And third, user-defined functions, which are the ones you create entirely yourself. This really highlights the true programmer's mindset. Before you ever write your own solution, you should always check if Python or a library already has a built-in fix. I mean, why reinvent the wheel if the button already exists? Section 4, defining versus calling, building the button versus pressing it. We're going to gently introduce the actual syntax here, but let's just keep our focus strictly on the big picture before getting bogged down in details.
Take a look at this comparison because it brilliantly illustrates the core difference. On the left side, we have def greet followed by print hello. That is defining the function. You're creating the instructions. But on the right side, just greet, that is calling the function. You are simply pressing the button to execute those instructions. So remember, building the instructions on the left, actually running them on the right. Like Coach Timothy always says, small steps, strong foundation. I want to warn you right now, do not let yourself be intimidated if you look at a more experienced programmer's screen and see these massive advanced functions packed with loops, conditions, and crazy parameters. Listen, they started exactly where you are today. We're starting simple. We're building the fundamental understanding of what a function even is before we make it do complicated math. Section 5, thinking like a programmer, from writing to organizing. Guys, this is all about a mindset shift. We are moving from simply blindly following Python instructions to actively predicting what they're going to do.
Let's actually test this mindset right now. If you type out def greet DRI and right underneath it you put print hello, will anything actually appear on the screen when you run that code? Think about what we just learned. The answer is no. Why? Because you only built the machine, you haven't pressed the button to call it yet. Forcing yourself to pause and predict what Python will do before you run the code is how you truly learn how Python thinks.
And here is the habit I really want to instill in you starting right today. Whenever you look at your programs and you start seeing repeated logic, those copy and paste jobs we talked about earlier, I want you to stop and ask yourself this exact question. Could this become a function? Just asking that single question is your first step in turning complex, messy problems into neat, manageable, reusable pieces. We are wrapping up with this awesome, empowering sign-off from Coach Timothy. Let's learn, let's practice, let's cook. Functions are going to completely change how you organize your thinking. So keep that notebook ready, keep your fingers close to the keyboard, and don't be afraid of that def keyword. You're no longer just writing code, study buddy. You are officially designing programs. I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on as we close out this explainer. Look at your own code, or honestly, just think about a task you do on your computer every single day. What complex problem are you going to break into smaller, reusable pieces today? The power to build your own small machines is literally in your hands right now. So get out there, start practicing, and start building those buttons. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.